Kia ora, good evening. Postie Plus had its shares placed in a trading halt last week before calling in administrators today. Postie Plus Group Limited is in voluntary administration and its 82 stores will continue to trade despite trading losses for some time. The apparel retailer suffered a loss of market share that included the sale and purchase of school techs uniforms in January this year by the Warehouse Limited. The company's shares have fallen 59% over the past 12 months, making the stock the worst performer on the New Zealand share market over that time. Stewart Island residents face increasing power costs as the Southland District Council releases its proposed electricity supply charges.
From July 1st, metering fees and charges for Stewart Island Electrical Supply Authority will increase by 3% for both residential and commercial connections. The proposed increases reflect the changing cost of supplying electricity to customers. Stewart Island has been exploring alternative power generation options for several years and have investigated small electricity grids, hydrogen storage, micro hydro, wind and marine generation technology. Island residents pay almost 59 cents per standard unit, while fixed monthly charges will increase to $87.55.
A new survey conducted by Action on Smoking and Health, or ASH, shows 90% of Kiwis back a law change to ban smoking in cars with children. Respondents were asked if they agreed or disagreed with smoking should be banned in cars carrying children younger than 18 years of age. 91% of respondents agreed or strongly agreed. The ASH Year 10 survey shows that in 2013, 18.5% of students were exposed to smoking in cars. It may be over 6 months since she last sat around the council table, but former City Councillor Thelma Buck's phone is still ringing with requests for help from ratepayers. The former councillor today is calling for accountability from City Chief Executive Richard King as he prepares a report into council expenditure on the A to B yacht race for councillors Karen Arnold and Peter Kett. Mrs Buck said she had unsuccessfully requested that the same report be produced last year.
Everybody says, oh, they spent 125,000, but they didn't. They spent 225,000. They went to Wellington and got 100,000 off the government, because I read in one of the newspapers up north that John Key said they wouldn't be getting anything else because they'd taken that. Now, when you read the paper the other day and you read what it says about the A and B, somebody said, oh, we didn't really expect it to happen anyway. So why would they go and get 100,000 of the ratepayers or the taxpayers' money to give to some Joe Blogg when he's already had 125,000? Beyond belief, I don't know. I just can't work it out. Some days I just think that, you know, I can understand how you hear people talking on the streets and the things they're saying. Are you buying such and such from the supermarket today? Oh no, I can't afford that today. You know, that'll have to wait for another couple of weeks before I've got some extra money. And it's quite sad because some of the people are, you know, are desperate for money, and you know, there's still the amount of the people here. There's no extra people coming in, and it's a bit like the main street. I was on the council when we went on a bus and we went round and looked at where the old bicycle track used to be, round the back of the warehouse. And at that stage they were going to put the swimming pool there, but they changed their mind and sold it. And of course that split the whole town. So it doesn't matter what sort of money you put in town, you're faced with that, you're faced with the what's going to happen in the earthquake, and it's, you know, it's big bickies. And where does it come to? It comes back to the ratepayer, or a loan, which still comes to the ratepayer.
Which brings us nicely actually to Rugby Park. What are your thoughts on the possibility of the City Council taking on that, well, at least part of that $1.5 million debt? Is that core council business? Is it like a swimming pool or a library, an essential asset? When
I was a little kid, my sisters used to march, and that was a community ground and everybody used it. Now it's just for football. I made a very sarcastic remark in my draft annual plan and suggested that if they wanted to take over Rugby Park, maybe they should charge the people for the drink that they drink in there. I'm talking about alcohol, and then put it in extra as a levy, and then put it into a fund. I'm told they probably can't do that, but that was my thing, because I reckon there's more alcohol drunk there than what there is people going to the rugby.
So no to council ratepayers taking that on?
Well, it came up before the draft annual plan last year. It got an outstanding no. This year it was only lukewarm, because it wasn't. They wouldn't say yes and they wouldn't say no, the council. So the people, some commented, some didn't. Yeah. You
wouldn't back that move though?
I don't. I'm too old to play football. I'm too old to sit in the cold. And a lot of our elderly people, I don't think, would want to pay for the rugby park as well. I'm not sure what the right way of dealing with it. I just think that they should clean the place out and start with a new group and see if somebody else can do it better.
Board members of the Southland District Health Board have gone paper-free. Starting this month, all board papers will be provided electronically only, and members of the public will also be able to download board agendas from the Southern DHB website. The paper-free electronic agendas decrease the production costs, are better for the environment, simpler to use, secure, easier to administer and more convenient, according to Southern DHB Chairman Joe Butterfield. Stay with us. After the break, we profile Rachel Goldsmith, who's contending the Clutha Southland seat for the second time. Welcome back. Green candidate for Clutha Southland, Rachel Goldsmith, is looking forward to getting the Green message out this coming election and believes there are key areas where she expects to attract good support for herself and her party. Ms Goldsmith has been involved with the Green Party since 2008 and secured over 2,600 votes in the 2011 contest for the seat against Finance Minister Bill English.
I've been a Green since 2008. I've held quite a few positions in that time. I've been a branch chair, I've run the magazine board. I've been on the policy committee since 2010, active in reviewing, writing policy and holding discussion groups with our members, because our policy is very members focused.
Just to get an idea about what you're really about, what are your personal interests as far as policy goes and green policy formulation?
Yeah, I'm very strong on social justice, so issues like women's issues, child poverty, social development, housing, disability issues in particular. I'm disabled myself. It's sort of an invisible disability that a lot of people don't pick up on, so I really am a champion for disability rights in New Zealand. At the moment we're looking at the issue of having disabled candidates running within the party. We've got 4 this year, which is absolutely excellent. And it was really interesting to see the report come out on accessibility in Parliament, and I think that it'd be really great if Parliament urgently looked at it, but they didn't sort of throw it to the side the way they do with other issues and think, well, that's sometime in the future, because we're here already, and we will need to be able to have full accessibility to Parliament in a very short period of time within the next couple of elections.
Did that surprise you, how the Parliament itself had come up flawed, this body that's passed legislation that makes sure every other building in the country seems to be? Were you surprised by that?
No, I wasn't. I sort of hear stories all the time about how difficult it is. Of course, Mojo Mathers, the first openly disabled MP in Parliament, she's deaf. However, with accessibility issues, it was interesting. I was at the National AGM over the weekend and discussing this in our disability caucus, and one of our members said that you're not allowed to stand in the public gallery. The seats are incredibly uncomfortable, so when chronic pain sets in and you need to stand up and move around, you're a security risk, so they take you out. So it's not even an issue of ramps and all of that kind of thing. It's down to the entire culture of the way Parliament runs is completely ridiculous and needs to be changed so that disabled people can have full access to, Parliament services and sitting in the House and, everything really.
Let's talk about the Clutha Southland seat. It's probably fair to say it's quite a safe national seat, isn't it, with that 16,000 vote majority. Todd Barclay looks pretty good there, but let's talk about the key issues. It's a diverse electorate, isn't it? There would be large pockets of green vote around.
Yes, there definitely is in the Wakatipu Basin area, so sort of Kingston, Frankton, Queenstown, Arrowtown, they're very strong green voters, so we will definitely be working hard in that part of the electorate to try and build the party vote even higher.
I guess just a quick word about the policy yesterday, well, probably more than a quick word, the scrapping of the emissions trading scheme and coming down quite heavily on dairy farmers by the looks of it, and industry in general. That's a tough ask for you in that electorate that's primarily rural.
It is, definitely, yes. It is going to be interesting. But what it comes down to is at the moment every single taxpayer pays for dairy farmers to have the emissions that they emit. And the dairy farmers themselves aren't heavily taxed in that area under the current system. So what we're saying is it's time to take that money, away from the general taxpayer who are paying for that tax. They're paying an incredibly high amount of money for dairy products on top of that. So we really need to have industry, paying for, the environmental impact that we make. Of course, dairy, we're looking at having a higher tax. Sheep, beef, so sort of they're the industry that's really struggling at the moment. We do not want to make things economically worse for them.
So there's something there for some farmers?
Absolutely, yeah. As I said, the sheep and beef industry is definitely suffering, so there's no way that we would, try and put a tax on them that would put them under more stress, because what we want to do is encourage diversity in farming in New Zealand to try and make it more sustainable. So we think that that's a really fair way of going about it. We do not want to put any more pressure on them at all. And when it comes down to it, with the profit margins dairy is making at the moment, we feel that they can definitely afford to pay a little bit more tax.
Let's talk about another key sector in the region, of course, tourism. That's your thoughts on the monorail.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely fantastic that Nick Smith made the decision that he did. Not only was it an environmental disaster, but it was an economic disaster as well. The figures didn't add up. The developers behind it have got an awful history of having to leave projects, and yes, say for instance the Pegasus Township was from the same developer, and that's in a real mess. So it's really great to see them making a responsible decision. But that was definitely pressured a lot along the way by Green supporters and Green activists who stood up in Fiordland and around the country and said, no, we don't want this. And I'm really proud that their pressure has succeeded also.
And that's all from us. Sport is along next from the news team. Good night.